Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Sports Talk here on Latin Television Network. We apologize for late kickoff, but here we are as the International Olympic Committee elects our first female president. All is set for the second Formula One event of the season. Meanwhile, the Super Eagles of Nigeria are ready for a crucial tie later today against their counterparts from Rwanda. Details of these are minimal for yours when we return from a break. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on the Latin Television Network, and Mike is here. Nice to have you, Mike.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful, and good morning to all viewers out there.
As usual, we'll start from the local scene where the National Sports Commission Chairman Malam Shehu Diko has embarked on a significant diplomatic mission aimed at enhancing sporting collaborations between Nigeria and Algeria. Shehu Diko has been busy of late.
Yeah, very busy trying to at least strike that proper understanding between him and the other federations out there. Now, taking it notch higher, I think this is the right way to go. You need to collaborate with other, sports inclined nations such as Algeria, so as to bring more, development of sport right here in the country. I think from his body language and from the move, the step he's been taking since he came on board, I think he's actually pointing to the fact that indeed we need this massive collaboration with other federations whose sports are doing very well, so as for us to also get to the apex.
Sports needs a lot of collaboration between nations, and Nigeria and Algeria in this instead are doing everything possible to ensure that they both collaborate on the wide scope of sporting activities across the continent, and of course and in the world as well. And Shehu Diko is really doing what is expected of him, ensuring that there's a lot of collaboration between Nigeria and other sporting communities around the world. Let's hope that these aspirations will be achieved in no long time. But we understand they're hosting an African schools sports games as well.
Yeah, courtesy of that collaboration, we'll also be giving that nod to host the African school sports.
As early as July this year?
Yeah. And I think for me, I begin to think, are we really prepared for this? Taking a look at the timing, I don't really think so. But then let's, give him that benefit of that, because I think, like I said, since he came on board, he's been doing enough. And of course, hosting some of this, major competition is going to give us an edge in terms of facility development. Because if you are hosting a major competition, that will enable you to also properly take a look at this infrastructure on ground to ensure that you give it a facelift, improve some areas. So I think this is what we stand to gain.
Well, now let's stay away from Shehu Diko and the National Sports Commission activities of RIT. We've had a lot of collaborations now, and the Sporting Federation as well are up and running, in line with the aspiration of the National Sports Commission. The 2025 Nigerian Beach Soccer League, we understand, is set to kick off. Beach soccer not very popular here in Nigeria, but gaining momentum.
Yeah, gaining momentum, and he talked about collaboration once more. This is what we need to continue to see, and then not just collaboration, but collaborating with the right partners, who share the same vision and aspiration of the goal and the aim of the National Sport Commission. Beach volley soccer is not the popular type of sport here, but then we can make it a mainstay on our own if we continue to build bridges with other, federations and other sporting ecosystems that are in line with the thought and vision of the game.
Meanwhile, the season in beach soccer gets underway here in Nigeria for the 2025 season in 31st of March, just a couple of days from now, and it runs through to the 3rd of April. And we understand there will be rounds of competition. The first round starting at the end of the month. Then we have others starting sometime in April, August, June as well.
Yeah, before finally we see more like the final that
Super
will take
4.
place. Yeah, Super 4 that will take place in Akwa Ibom State. So for me, I think properly structured, so as to for we to see the best of the team out there. During the preliminaries, team had to play each other. Whichever team that comes top in their own angle, they qualify for the Super 4. And the Super 4 proper, that is where you get to see the champion, because when you have to play more like a round-robin format in the Super 4, so as to test your mettle, test your strength with other teams that have made it to the Super 4 to see who reigns supreme. So for me, I think properly structured.
Well, beach soccer getting set to start for the year 2025 and run through till the end, and there will be a Super 4 championship in New York, to be specific. Now let's go to wrestling, and a high-level delegation led by the president of the International Military Sports Council Wrestling Sports Committee is here. I understand there were 3 other Iranian coaches has arrived in Nigeria to train Nigerian military coaches and wrestlers. Wrestling and the military, they seem to have some kind of collaboration as well.
Yeah, there have been this more like a Siamese twins collaboration, to ensure that the wrestling also get the needed attraction or attention right here in the continent of Africa, and that is why this collaboration here and there, even with some military, outfit out there. And Nigeria, fortunately, has been, appointed as more like the headquarters of the military training for all African wrestlers out there, which for me I think is a massive collaboration. This is what we keep talking about. When you have the right people who have the right connection, I mean, it makes these things very easy for you to be able to attract a partnership with other countries out. And I think for me, wrestling in Africa is getting the needed momentum.
Talking about the wrestling in Africa getting momentum, wrestling is not completely strange to Africa,
Yeah.
but what looks to me as novelty is the beach wrestling championship that is earmarked for next year.
Yeah, not a popular one because it's been a while. We do not hear anything beach wrestling, but then I think in their bid to ensure that there is a holistic development of wrestling, they've decided to toe the line of beach wrestling, which for me, we're going to spot out so many talent from that area as well. It's about determination, it's about what we want, it's about, we sticking to the plan, and the vision of what they intend to achieve, which is to also continue to move Africa, up higher in terms of wrestling. Just like you mentioned earlier, wrestling is not, a strange sport, because traditionally this should be our field, where we have gained that expertise because of our natural strength but sometimes it's not just about strength. You have to add some technical input for you to sharpen your skill and get a better of yourself. So generally I think we are moving in the right direction if proper attention is given to it. Talking about the beach wrestling, I think maybe in 2 or 3 years time we'll be making headway.
Beach wrestling coming up next year in Africa, and that will be really, really novelty and interesting to follow up. And something interesting here, we haven't top Iranian wrestling coaches arrive in Nigeria for training of our own coaches here and wrestlers as well. As if that is not enough, Nigerian wrestlers and coaches have been invited to Iran for some kind of experience of top level coaching out there in Iran.
Massive one. I think this initiative actually kick-started last 2 months ago, when they had the first interface talking about this, and this time around they were able to concretize this move. Bringing in top Iranian actually made her present field. Out of 97 votes that was casted, she was able to rack about 49 out of those 9, which for me I think is very massive.
Massive appearance of Africa at the international stage. Talking about Christy Coventry, she's not completely new to the International Olympic Committee because she has been on the executive board of the Olympic Committee, but emerging as a first-round winner over 5 other male counterparts is really, really shocking for me, because you have a renowned World Athletics president, Cole, to contest against her. There was Samarash. If you remember the Spaniard, as well, the former boss there, she flooring all of them. In fact, 5 male counterparts, but notably, World Athletics President Sebastian Cole and Samarash, these are known sports administrators in the past, and she was able to floor them I think that's a very big victory for Africa, and we just hope that she will bring her, let's say, youthful exuberance to bear on the job. This is the first female in 130 years. Wow. And I think there will be a new, let's say, breath of fresh air next year when she will be in charge of our very first Olympic Games.
For sure, a lot will be expected of her because, you know, Thomas Burge, the outgone president, actually was able to set the standard. He raised the bar so high, you know, so a lot will be expected from her. But then one thing is certain, that shortly after her victory, she gave her acceptance speech out there, trying to call other, you know, people who actually went on the same ballot with her to also collaborate, stating that they all share the same ideas and aspiration, and this is the time for them to, you know, put their acts together and work, you know, achieving some of those aspirations. And then again, it may also interest you to note that the outgone president, talking about Thomas Burge, was also solidly behind her. So ahead of even the co that you talked about, a renowned sports administrator. So I think for me, with all of this, I'm very hopeful. Don't also forget that she is also the sport minister for Zimbabwe, two-time Olympic champion. So she's not new, you know, to the system. She's somebody that I've also been there. I've seen it all, won it all. Then in terms of administrative prowess, she has it as well. So with the support of the outgone president and others, you know, I think she has what it takes to even continue to maintain the high standard, you know, that Thomas Burge left.
Well, from us here, we say congratulations to Christy Coventry, Zimbabwean, 41 years of age, youngest to ever lead the World Multi-Sports Organization, and of course, the richest as well. So we say congratulations to Coventry, and I'm sure there will be a lot of, let's say, innovations coming the way of the International Olympic Committee. Let's wrap up this half of the show with the one more story, and it's coming from Formula One. I remember the season got underway just a few days ago in Australia, and Lando Norris did emerge as the champion of the first race of the season out there in Australia. But he believes that his car, my McLaren car, needs some adjustment ahead of this weekend Chinese Grand Prix, which is the second Grand Prix of the season in Formula One. Do you think McLaren concerns are very do I say akin to what we are seeing, because the organizers of Formula One are now saying that the bends of the car definitely now has to be adjusted?
I think for me, contrary to that statement, he was actually saying that at this point they don't really need to adjust the car, because to him he feels very comfortable, you know, in the first race out there. So I think that is a mix. There was a mix-up somewhere, because he actually stated that he's very comfortable with the car in the first race. Heading into the Chinese Grand Prix, he did not expect any, you know, adjustment, you know, so for now. But then one thing is certain, that a lot it will be expected of him, courtesy of the fact that he's won the first, you know, Formula One season Grand Prix. And a lot will be on his shoulder in the second, you know, race that will take place out there in China. We'll just keep our fingers crossed, hoping to see that he's able to also once more, you know, ride over Max Verstappen and other drivers.
Well, if you follow Formula One, the second Grand Prix gets underway this weekend in China, and it promises to be very, very thrilling. And we'll keep our eyes crossed and see whether Nolan Norris will continue to dominate, where McLaren and other drivers are looking at making an impact as well. But organizers of Formula One believes that there has to be some adjustment, so as to avoiding the multiple crash. If you remember, Mike, there were 7 crashes, you know, in that very first race, you know, involving several drivers, and a lot of people believe that the wings of the cars, you know, had a role to play. So there has to be adjustment as to the width which these wings of the cars could be bent.
Yeah, for other constructors who need that adjustment, but for McLaren, I do not think that they need that adjustment, because if they do adjust, then it's going to throw off their driver off balance. So like I said, I think other constructors whose wing of their car is not properly fitted and need that adjustment. For McLaren, I do not think that they are going to do any adjustments.
Well, time for us to take a break. When we return from a break, we should be able to give you one or two stories coming from the world of tennis. And in football, Super Eagles of Nigeria has 5 p.m. tonight to take on their counterparts from Rwanda in a very crucial World Cup qualifier. Details of this and many more will be yours when we return from the break. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we've been bringing you up to speed with the latest happening in the world of sports. It's no longer news that the whole of Africa is agog following the election of Christy Coventry as the first African female head of the International Olympic Committees. Yes, you heard me right. An African, Zimbabwean for that matter, is the first African to be elected as the head of the International Olympic Committee, and she's no doubt the youngest at the age of 41. We say congratulations to her again, and now we'll continue with the other aspect of the program. Mike, 1,000 points is at stake in Miami, and a lot of top tennis players are seeking at this 1,000 points. And one of them is Coco Gauff. She took out her fellow American Sophia Kenin in straight set, all love. This is interesting. I'm sure Sophia Kenin will be wondering what will have happened. 6-0, 6-love, 6-love.
Massive display from the
Coco Gauff?
Coco Gauff, whose season has been a little bit of maybe call it ups and downs, because she has not been able to hit her stride. Though sometimes when you expect her to be up there, she just fall like a pack of cards. But then when you least expect her, she just do some of those magic, taking out her opponent clinically. Was an impressive display. We hope to see her continue in this fine fashion going forward. So for me, it shouldn't just be one-off thing that we say, oh, Coco Gauff did this. When next she rose the bar, you expect so much from her, she just frizzled away.
What's happening to Arina Sabalenka? Coming off from that defeat at Indian Wells, where she lost, and now it looks like she's having torrid time at Miami.
No, she won her game as well. More like she has been able to learn one or two lessons from the Indian Wells after that, humiliation from the teenager, talking about Mire Andreeva. She didn't take yesterday's game lightly. She was able to also dispatch her opponent seamlessly. So I think she's still one of the favorites in this competition. We hope to see her, reach the final.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed and see whether the world number one can get to the final of the Miami Open after she lost out at Indian Wells. 1,000 points, like we mentioned, is at stake. How are the men doing? We still have some of the top male players in the race out there in Miami.
Yeah, especially for the British player, they are doing exceptionally well. The likes of Jacob Fenley was able to outsmart, his opponent.
Fenley is looking at taking a very large claim to his number 2 position in British tennis.
For sure, for sure.
Rory would not want to let him be.
Yeah, Cameron Norrie, not that impressive so far this is, but then still one of the top 3 players for the British, born stars. Jacob Fenley up there, be hoping to see if he can be able to even outsmart Jack Draper, who was crowned champion of the Indian Wells. But then I think the 3 British players, they are beginning to live up to the expectation. Don't forget 2 weeks ago when you and I talked about some of these British players, how they're flattered to deceive, but many times you don't really see the best of them. Been very difficult time, both their male and female counterparts, they were not doing pretty well, stayed so long without winning a major trophy. But look as though they are beginning to, come to the party this time around. First, we saw Jack Draper winning the Indian Wells a few days ago. Then you talk about that great players, Fenley also coming up gradually. We hope to see them continue to build up this momentum. This is what we love to see, because when you are having some of these top players at the top of their game, I mean, we expect a lot of competition in the ATP rather.
Talking about ATP, 1,000 points out there in Miami. Later tonight, we'll see Nick Dragos up against Karen Kashanov. That promises to be a very difficult tennis match. But I will keep an eye on it. And of course, there's yet another fixture as well. Gabe Murphy is up against Jerry Lineker. This is one match a lot of people take. This is happening in America. Gabe Murphy is an American, and he sometimes flatters to deceive.
For sure, that he's playing at home, he shouldn't be elastic. We've seen players play at home with a home crowd cheering them to victory, yet they still, falter. So I think he's not a player that can, beat my chest and say, yes, he is going to make an impact despite playing at home.
Medvedev is in action as well against Gaganov, and we hope to follow it up for you on our program Sports Extraordinary at 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Now let's get to football from tennis and reaction to the resumption of the 2025 football season in the Nigerian Women Football League. Only 48 hours ago, we saw Remo Star ladies unbeaten run come to an end in Lafia as Nasarawa Maidens secured a dramatic 1-0 win over the ladies from Ikere. Mike, 5 now is 4 remaining.
Very impressive one for the home team.
Talking about the undefeated highs.
I think it has come to an end for Remo Stars. Then Edo Queen as well. Their unbeaten season came to an end. I think it's only left with Rivers Angel with the only unbeaten team as well in the competition or in the Nigerian Women Football League for this season. But then it is not done and dusted. There are some games that still left to be played to see which of the team make it to the final. But then I think it's been an impressive season for the Nigerian Women Football League. Well,
let's hope that Rivers Angels will continue to keep intact their unbeaten run in this season. We'll follow it up for you as well and see. But for Remo's ladies, it is come and gone. We have had the FA Cup matches going on as well. Do we have any big result to report?
No big result to report, exception of Shooting Stars that they were yanked off from the competition because of the fact that they allegedly fielded in 5 ineligible players. So I think that is actually what is actually brewing within the competition, which they issued a statement a few hours ago that they're going to pursue the matter to a logical end. But then before the Nigerian Football League could come up to make such a big declaration banning them, I think they've made their own investigation. But we hope to see how these plans are going forward.
Shooting Stars of Ibadan, one of the oldest football club sides in Nigeria, should know rules and how to follow it up in terms of registering players, and for the organizers of the FA Cup to force them with 5 players as have been eligible for the competition gives a lot to worry about how the club side is being managed. But in the days ahead, we'll know who is saying the truth. Is it the organizers of the league or the management of Shooting Stars of Ibadan? But for now, they have been excluded from further participating in the Football Cup competition for this year 2025. Now let's get to the big one coming from around world football. Tonight at about 5 p.m. Nigerian time out there in Kigali, Rwanda, it will be Super Eagles of Nigeria against their Rwanda counterparts, and it is a crucial World Cup qualifier aimed at seeing how Nigeria can be part of the Americas next year. Mike, every match is a must win. Can they do this what looks like difficult task out there in Kigali?
Yeah, for me, I think they have what it takes to pull the chestnut out of fire, to, draw the rabbit out of the hole. Then again, boosted by the fact that Benin Republic, surprisingly yesterday, also were held to a 2-2 draw. This is even a pointer to the fact that if we get to take all 3 points against Rwanda today, we relaunch ourselves back into qualification contention. And the big question, can we do it? I think we'll keep our fingers crossed to see this evening. 5 p.m. is the time. But from the body language of the coach and the players in camp, adapting to the training regimen and also to the style and philosophy of the coach, we've seen, massive understanding between the coaches and the players, which for me I think is very key. And I believe the boys as well, they know what is at stake in this very one. Many of them haven't been at the World Cup. In fact, haven't been at the World Cup. So they probably want to, test the feel of what World Cup is all about. So this is going to ginger them to see if they can be able to go all out and take all 3 points this evening.
New coach, some players are new as well in the squad. Victor Osimhen, haven't been with the team for a while, is back, and everybody seems to say, look, this squad can beat the Rwandans in their own backyard.
For sure, if you take a look at our attack force, we boast one of the best attackers, ahead of this competition. Victor Osimhen for Galatasaray, about 30 games played, 26 goals scored, 8 assists. Talk about Akorodare, have 19 goals to his kitty so far for his club side. Victor Boniface, 10 goals so far. You talk about the likes of Lukman Ademola, 18 goals. So you take a look at the team generally, I think we have the firepower to go out there and get all 3 points.
Well, talking about Nigeria making sure they get a win to make up with the point difference in their group. Yesterday we saw a group fixture involving Zimbabwe and Benin Republic. Both of them play in our group, and we need to win them. It looks like Zimbabwe did Nigeria some favor last night, because at a stage Benin Republic was leading them by 2-0. But before 90 minutes and plus added time, it ended 2-2, making the point difference between Nigeria and Benin Republic reduced now to 8 to about 4 points, and not an eventual 6 points that it would have been, or even 7 points, if they had won.
Yeah, and that is why I say that they have given us that leverage for us to relaunch our hope of making it to the 2026 World Cup. Courtesy of that 2-2 draw, because if they had won that game, the point disparity between we and them could have been even further broadened to 7 points. Then we'll have 3 points. That means they will be having 4 points ahead of us. Now, if we get to win, that is to presuming that if we get to win today, getting 3 points, we'll be still 1 point short of them. But today, if we get to win, we leapfrog them. So for me, I think it was, maybe I don't know whether I say that it was divinely orchestrated for the Super Eagles. Now the onus lies on the Super Eagles to do their bid, having received that favor from that 2-2 draw against the Benin Republic.
World Cup qualifiers across the continent of Africa ongoing. Started yesterday. We saw Sierra Leone beat Guinea-Bissau by 3-1, and in Group D we saw Cape Verde, spank Mauritius by 1-0. It was 1-1 in the encounter between Libya and Angola. Gabon whitewashed Seychelles by 3 unreplied goals. It was a 6-goal thriller between Gambia and Kenya, all sides sharing 3 apiece. Meanwhile, Mozambique beat Uganda by 3-1. Malawi lost at home to Namibia, while Comoros one of the exciting teams we saw some times ago lost at home 3-0 to Mali. In the, later today, we will see Burkina Faso take on Djibouti. Ethiopia will meet Egypt as well. Congo, DR will be up against South Sudan. Rwanda, we told you, is already waiting for Nigeria to just get on the pitch at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. South Africa will take on Lesotho, another fixture which Nigerians will keep an eye on. Mike, Lesotho versus South Africa. This is taking place in the backyards of the South Africans. Can Lesotho cause any upset?
Football, anything at all is very possible. Though we've seen a very coordinated South African side. We've seen what they did.
They have 7 points as well.
Yeah. We saw what they did in the last African Cup of Nations. Most of their players, almost 99.9% of them, plied their trade at the South African League, especially for 2 clubs, basically. So there is this understanding and synergy among the players. But then in the game of football, anything at all, is very, very possible. So we just keep hoping that some of these teams that is ahead of the Super Eagles keep dropping points so as to for us to have that express where we try to see if we can be able to pick the World Cup ticket. In
other World Cup fixtures later tonight, Niger will take on Morocco, while Burundi will be home to Ivory Coast. So as Botswana is at home, while Algeria will be away in yet another crucial fixture. Guinea will take on Somalia. Equatorial Guinea will take on Sao Tome and Principe, while the Black Stars of Ghana will take on Chad. The Black Stars of Ghana has been having some kind of do I say topsy-turvy results?
It's been a very disappointing one for the Black Stars of Ghana, especially learning that they are not going to be part of the next African Cup of Nations because they failed to qualify. In fact, the home support right now is very poor. Their fans are very angry at the national team at home. They get to draw and get to lose. At some point, you saw their home fans, pelting sachet water to their players and all of that. So we hope that they are going to revive their hope and at least give their fans something to cheer them about, even as they take on their opponent this evening as well.
Well, we hope that the Super Eagles will bring a good result for us. And let's now look at some other fixtures on the continent of Africa. We understand Confederation of African Football has announced details of the dates, kickoff time, and venue for the CAF Under-17 African Cup of Nations that is due to take place in Morocco. This is the 15th edition of the competition. We will see 16 nations take part in this edition of the competition in 4 stadia across Morocco. Where is the Nigeria Under-17 side?
Yeah, I think we'll be also making our outing as well. But then it's going to be a very healthy competition because we have some top teams out there, even the host country, talking about Morocco, coming into that very one. They have a very good score. You talk about Ivory Coast as well, who also have qualified for the tournament. We have key traditional African teams out there that are also very good, but we hope that the Nigerian Under-17 can also go out there and prove a point, rather consolidate on the history of the Under-17 team, because over the years we've been doing pretty well in an Under-17 championship. So we hope that our own Under-17 team can continue that momentum.
While talking about World Cup qualifiers across Africa, the rest of the world is as well into World Cup qualifiers. In Asia, we saw Japan beat Bahrain by 2-0 in Saitama, Japan last night. And interestingly, Mike, Japan has now become the very first team to qualify for the 2026 World Cup coming up in America, Mexico, and Canada.
Massive, one for Japan, and this victory or this height is not just for the Japanese alone, but for the Asian continent. What this simply means is that their football is growing, their football is developing. This is the 8 straight times consecutively that the Japanese will be qualifying for the World Cup. I do not think that there is any other African team that have done it 8 straight times to qualify for the World Cup. It tells you the influence of Japan football, have been improving a lot. Being the first country, qualify for the World Cup is no mean feat. Big congratulations to them.
48 countries are expected to be part of next year's World Cup that will take place in the United States of America, Canada, and Mexico. And now it means 47 more to join Japan, who has qualified for the 8th time, like you mentioned there. We say congratulations to Japan, the first country to emerge as part of the World Cup coming up in America. Meanwhile, while the rest of Asia and CONMEBOL and Africa are preparing for World Cup, the Nations League is ongoing in Europe. Mike, Croatia beat France 2-0 last night. We saw Denmark beat Portugal 1-0. Italy lost at home. Germany beating them by 2-1. It was 2-2 between Spain and the Netherlands. Turkey beat Hungary by 3-1. Austria played a 1-1 draw with Serbia. Greece lost at home. Scotland beating them by 1-0. Ukraine beat Belgium by 3-1. War-torn Ukraine beating Belgium by 3-1. We saw Armenia lost at home. Georgia beating them by 3-0. While Bulgaria, another home loser, because Ireland beat them by 2-1. Kosovo went to playing at home, beat Iceland by 2-1. It was goalless between Slovenia and Slovakia. Which of these results tickled your fancy last night across Europe?
I think the game between France and Croatia. You take a look at it presently. France has the most complete team in the world. Yes, in the world, not just in Europe, in the world presently. They have the most complete team, both ranging from the defense line down to the midfield. Then you talk about the attack. They are the very, great squad so far for 2025. But then, surprisingly, against a Croatian side, they lost 2-0. Even with their captain coming back into the fray after being left out of their two previous games, talking about Kylian Mbappe, but then he was still not able to make the difference in that game. I think it was quite disappointing for me because I had expected, the Le Blues, to get the win over Croatia. But it didn't pan out that way. Another game that was more like a surprise for me, Germany against Italy. I was hoping that Italy, getting that first lead, they were going to maintain that first goal. But then the German machine came back into that very game as well to also, turn the table around. And then for Spain, playing 2-2 draw against their opponent as well was another shocking result for me. Well,
that will be it. But just before then, the CONMEBOL area, South American teams are as well preparing for the World Cup. See whether they can qualify. Brazil was in action last night, and surprisingly, last-minute Vinicius Junior's goal, Mike, saw them beat their counterparts from Colombia by 2-1. In the next 4 days, they have Argentina to meet. I will keep our fingers crossed on that. But Argentina should be in action later today without their talisman, Lionel Messi. But keep an eye on all of the features coming up across South America for you later on our program, Sports Extraordinary. But for now, we would like to leave you with some very exciting programs here on Atlantic Television Network. Hoping that by 6 o'clock, I will bring you some results as well coming from Kigali. Yes, Kigali, Super Eagles of Nigeria in a match with their counterparts from Rwanda, all in a bid to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. I'm sure before 7 o'clock, we'll be giving you full-time results. Mike, that will be it for this edition of Sports Extraordinary. We'll return at 6 p.m. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here, Atlantic Television Network.